So Black Adam came out some time ago, and I wasn't able to watch the movie when it initially released. So when it came out for streaming, I was like, hey, this is a good opportunity to, go back into the superhero verse and see what DC has to offer us. And the thing is, I'm not always excited about DC movies, particularly because they're all kind of lackluster for me. Listen, I'm not like, hating on DC while I'm loving Marvel or anything. If it's a superhero movie, I'll most likely enjoy it. But DC's catalog till now hasn't been that great. I did enjoy Aquaman and Shazam 1. So I was curious to see what they would do with Black Adam. And wow, I went through a lot of emotions while watching this movie. Not in a good way, though. Not in a good way. So let's start with a spoiler-free review. When I think about this movie, try to remember any scenes or any moments that really stuck with me, nothing really comes to mind, and that's like sad because this movie is just not memorable at all. Everything from the acting, the characters, the story, to the cinematography and the direction, it's all pretty lackluster. And the only thing this movie does is remind me of other movies that are better. Like, there are scenes that make me think like, oh, I remember when this happened in that movie. Oh, I remember when this character in that particular show did this. Which I don't think is something you want to do with a standalone superhero movie. Like, if every moment in your movie is just reminding people of other better things, then yeah, you've kind of missed the mark here. But yeah, this movie just did not work for me, which was kind of sad and a bit surprising considering all the promotional work The Rock did for it. Because when I saw his initial, his a picture of him in the Black Adam costume sitting on that throne, it looked pretty freaking cool. And he did so much promotional work where he was like, oh, the hierarchy in DC Universe is about to change. It did change, but not in his favor. Boy. Right, so that's just going to be my spoiler-free review. I'm going to keep it short and simple. Because I think lackluster is just like one word that is good enough to define this movie. Now let's dive deep into the actual issues I had with the movie with regards to the story, and I'm going to go into some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to watch it, so I don't know why, this is where you should click off. But do come back and watch the video, okay? Okay, thank you. Wow, you're not cute. I'm not cute enough for that. So the movie starts off with narration. And the thing is, I don't understand what the need for narration in a movie is. A movie is a visual media. So if there is something that you can show your audience, why not do that instead of spoon feeding that information to them? And I'm not saying narration as a whole is bad. It works in some places where it's necessary, right? But nowadays, I feel like scriptwriters, producers, and directors, I think they feel like their audience is really stupid, and if they don't spell everything out for them, they won't understand what's happening. But anyways, the movie starts with narration, and we're told about this place known as Kandak. It's a fictional place, obviously. But basically, the story tells us that Kandak was ruled by this tyrant, and he wanted to build this crown of Sabak. This crown, once he wore it, this crown would give him the power of 6 demons. So he would be able to, take over the world, as all evil people want to do. So he enslaves his people and forces them to dig for the stone known as Eternium. Now here's another gripe I have. It's a very small thing, but I don't understand why every fictional stone has to have the word "ium" at the end of it. Eternium, Vibranium, Unobtainium. Why can't the stone just be called John? John would be more original than whatever is happening over here. Just saying. I'm not funny, I know that. Yeah, so these people are digging for Eternium, and then one guy finds a piece. So that basically indicates that till now they haven't been able to find any Eternium at all. So this guy finds a piece, the other people start attacking him for it, then a kid runs in and he goes like, no, we shouldn't be fighting amongst each other. And everyone is inspired. Where I come from, if adults are fighting over something and I, as a child, say, hey, don't do that, well, it stops them from fighting. But now But that's because their attention is now on me and berating me and telling me how much of a bad child I am because I don't know how to respect my adults. So, that was a very surprising scene. I guess that's something that stood out for me. So, anyways, this kid goes with the old man. They go to the soldiers appointed by the tyrant, and they tell him that, hey, we found Eternium. And the soldier, being an evil guy, pockets it. And then they go, what about my reward for finding the Eternium? And obviously, in movie fashion, when you go to the bad guy and ask him for a reward, he got his reward in the form of a stabbing. Who saw that coming? Who saw that coming? The kid's about to get stabbed too, but then his dad steps in and saves him, and then tells the kid that, hey kid, stop, looking for heroes. You won't find any in this world. And obviously, it's at that moment when you see the dad in, you can't see his face. He's like the skinny figure, but you can't see his face. So it's like, it's very mysterious. You're like, oh my God, who's his dad? The thing is, as a moviegoer, I can hear things. And I know the dad is The Rock. And this big twist that they had for the end, I already know it now. So yeah, that didn't work out. Anyways, the kid, pushes the soldier, steals the Eternium piece, and runs off. And all the other people start defending him. And then he runs off all the way up to a cliff, takes the rock, holds it up between both of his hands, forming a triangle. And yeah, that's supposed to be like the symbolic scene because everybody starts, imitating that symbol. But yeah, that just reminded me of the Hunger Games. And I wish I was watching the Hunger Games or just reading it because that would be 10 times better than this. It also reminded me of the Illuminati. Wonder what Kandak has to do with that. Who knows? But yeah. And then again, the narration begins and they tell us how the hero arrived just in the nick of time to save the people of Kandak before the tyrant got his crown. And over here, you can see a big gap in time, right? You can see that when the narration begins, we see that the guy only found one piece, so they were only able to find one piece till now. But then the narration cuts to Black Adam walking into the palace and the king has his crown. So a lot of time has passed. And then you already know that some shit happened in that time to that kid for The Rock to become Black Adam. So anyways, we cut to New Age Kandak, and the narration is still going on, by the way, where they tell us that Kandak has been taken over by this mercenary group known as Intergang, and they're basically suppressing the people and exploiting the country. So we follow the narrators. The narrator is this kid, and his mom is a wanted person. Basically, Intergang has issued a warrant for her. And we see the scene of her kind of like hiding in a car, and then she goes off to this excavation site, right? She's a historian or something like that. It kind of escapes me, which is kind of bad because I'm making this video. I should know, but I'm not going to look it up. I'm not watching this movie again. No. So she's like this historian, and they arrive at this ancient tomb sort of a thing where they find out that the champion of Kandak, basically Black Adam, is buried here. And when they go in, they find the crown of Sabak. It is just there, levitating in the air. And all I'm thinking while I'm seeing this scene is, what the fuck, Wizard of Shazam? Why could you not hide it in a better place? Why is it right there? Like, hey, just walk in, steal the crown. I ain't gonna stop ya. It's like this in every superhero movie ever. There's going to be some artifact that, these people have to hide because it shouldn't fall into the wrong hands, but that artifact is always hidden in plain sight, like anybody can find it. Anyways, this lady gets up onto the statue, grabs the crown, and at that moment, Intergang filters in. They hold her at gunpoint, so she reads some scriptures of the ground, which end up summoning the champion of Kandak, that is Black Adam. He is released from his prison. And as soon as he's released, he starts killing the Intergang members. And yeah, that's a kind of a cool scene to watch. It's like bitches getting beat up. I enjoy those. I enjoy those all the time. But then they do this thing where Black Adam leaves the tomb, right? He leaves it and everything around him is in slow motion. And I can understand that was done to show like exactly how fast he is. But the only thing that scene did was make me want to watch X-Men Days of Future Past, because the scene with Quicksilver was so much better. And I would rather be watching something better. But yeah, they do that whole scene. The Rock has the exact same expression throughout the whole scene, which, yeah, really doesn't have. The acting in this movie isn't great. Anyways, he goes out, fights in the gang, kills them all, gets shot with a weapon made of Eternium, passes the fuck out. And this woman, this genius woman, right, who loves her son, takes this man who basically ripped multiple people apart, and she brings him to her house. And then she puts him in her son's room and leaves her son unsupervised. Movie parents aren't really great, are they? Anyways, Black Adam wakes up, the son starts spitting nonsense at him. Oh god, that scene was so cringy. I wanted to skip so bad, because he's just going on and on and on about Black Adam and his powers and all the amazing things he can do. And that scene just reminded me of Shazam, and then I just wanted to watch Shazam because I would rather watch something better. Yeah. And then Black Adam basically bursts through the wall instead of using the door, and makes some stupid jokes about how he doesn't understand sarcasm, right? So, and then he does this very strange thing. So he bursts out of a wall, so he could just burst out of another wall and leave. But instead of doing that, he levitates down slowly so the kid can keep up with him and keep saying nonsense like, hey, we can get your face on lunch boxes. And like Black Adam's like, what the fuck is a lunchbox? And I'm like, yeah, why? Lunch boxes? What? Anyways, it continues, and then Intergang attacks, and Black Adam fights them. But then there's also this scene with the Justice Association and Amanda Waller telling them that, hey, you need to go stop Black Adam. And they're like, yeah, we have put a team together, and they start briefing us on the team. Oh god, that's such a bad scene. And then so Black Adam throws some Intergang members into the air, like, they'll die, sort of a thing. And Hawkman ends up saving them. He ends up saving them, and he goes like, we are here to help you, to the people of Kandak, who start, obviously they start booing him because they're like, bitch, this man is already helping us and you're getting in his way. And then, oh god, the dialogue in this movie is so bad, because the way Hawkman says that they are here to maintain peace almost makes it imply as if they need Intergang to continue terrorizing the people of Kandak so that the rest of the world can be at peace. I know that probably wasn't their intention, but oh my god. Anyways, there's a fight scene between the members of the Justice Association and Black Adam. Obviously, Black Adam wins. Yeah. Most of the Justice Association members, especially Hawkman, are just in this movie to get beat up. So yeah, obviously Black Adam wins. And meanwhile, there's another side plot going on with the main antagonist of this movie, mind you, who's in a side plot. Not in the main plot, side plot. The main antagonist is this guy who was with the historian woman and presumably died during the Intergang raid at the tomb. But it turns out that he's alive and he was working with Intergang all along. He wants the crown of Sabak. He's not just working with Intergang, he's probably leading them. So he arrives at the woman's home, shoots her brother, goes after the kid, he ends up kidnapping the kid, and then the Justice League and Justice Association and Black Adam are forced to work together to find the kid. I'm probably kind of skipping off on a lot of parts, but really it's not important. So yeah. And then for some reason, they let this woman who's a historian come along with them on this rescue mission, and she just becomes the mom friend, because when Hawkman and Black Adam start fighting again, she's like, no fighting. And they're like, okay, mommy. I was just like, what? They didn't actually say, okay, mommy, but you understand. So yeah, anyways, they go, and then, oh god, this is the worst. This is just the stupidest thing that happens, right? So Black Adam, they've shown throughout the movie that he can't control his powers. So when he sees this guy, right, the villain guy with the crown, he tells them that he is actually a descendant of the tyrant. And I'm like, oh my fucking god, you're serious right now. You're actually serious with this. So he puts on the crown, Black Adam kills him with electricity, but again, he can't control his power, so the kid ends up getting injured, and then Black Adam realizes that his power doesn't belong to him. He and Hawkman have a heart-to-heart conversation where Black Adam gives his backstory and reveals that he was never the hero of Kandak, at least not the real one. And I'm guessing this was a moment that was supposed to make audiences go like, oh my god, what do you mean you're not Black Adam? But I just went like, yeah, I saw this coming. Like 2 minutes into the movie, I saw this coming. So anyways, that kid from the narration is the actual hero of Kandak. He was chosen by the wizards and he was given the power of Shazam. And then he started fighting against the Tyrant King. But apparently he was so bad at his job that the Tyrant King ruled long enough to get the entire crown, right? So there's this scene where the king goes after the kid's family. The kid ends up killing the mother. The father is also like horribly injured and on the verge of death when the kid arrives, and he ends up giving his power to his father so he can survive. And that is how the Black Adam we all know now comes to be. And obviously, when the kid says Shazam, he goes from the older, stronger version to the kid version and immediately gets shot by an arrow and dies. Maybe if you were better at your job. I don't know, man. So yeah, and then he says that, I'll give up my powers now. But remember this, if the people of Kandak need me, I will come back. So he says Shazam and becomes like this really weird hell dimension version of The Rock where he's like just super skinny, and I was like, oh, get out of my screen, no. Anyways, they take him away, and obviously Amanda Waller is involved. When is she not? They take him away to this facility where he'll put in cryo sleep, and they're setting him up when it turns out that the guy, the descendant, he wore the crown and got killed. So if you are wearing the crown and you get killed by the hero with the powers of Shazam, you will be resurrected as the demon that you always wanted to be. That's how you get the power of the 6 demons. Which was very weird to me, because if that is true, then what the fuck was the king planning to do? Like, if the wizards never gave the kid the power of Shazam, what the fuck was the king going to do? Just wear like this black shiny crown and wonder where the fuck are my demons? I don't know. Makes no sense. Anyways, yeah, and then this guy goes from human to the worst villain ever. Like, his character design is so typical. It is so cliche that you could put him into any generic mobile video game and he'd fit right in. It's not a good thing when that's your main antagonist. Anyways, becomes this big red demon, and the association goes to fight him. Dr. Fate's like, hey, to Hawkman, he says that, hey, I saw in a vision that in the future, if you fight this guy, you will die. And then he puts down like a shield, so Hawkman can't come in, and then goes to fight the demon alone for some reason. I don't know why. And then he starts fighting the demon, and then while he's fighting the demon, he sends a message to Black Adam and tells him that Kandak needs you. So Black Adam, in this human, skinny, scrawny version of himself, fights off armed guards who are probably like, who know how to fight, like, have been trained for years. He fights them all off and says Shazam as he's thrown into the water and is drowning. He has a vision of his son who tells him that, hey, it's not your time yet, which is supposed to be like an emotional scene, but I've seen this scene so many times in other movies. It's like, oh my god, I wish I was watching something else. And yeah, he says Shazam, comes Black Adam again, comes back to Kandak, fights the demon, kills him. Everybody lives happily ever after. Except for Dr. Fate, he dies. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically Shazam in a nutshell. It's not a good movie. So you can already see all the fundamental problems with the movie when the story is narrated. So when you're actually watching it, it really, really stands out. Let's talk about the characters now. Again, a movie's success depends on its characters and its story. When those don't work, then the movie doesn't work, because you can have the prettiest movie ever, but it's not gonna work if you don't have the characters to back it up. And these characters don't work because this movie is an introduction to so many characters. This movie introduces us not just to Black Adam, it introduces us to Hawkman, to Dr. Fate, to Cyclone, to Atom Smasher. And with so many characters being introduced, you need something substantial. You need to develop them properly. You need to give them a personality, struggles that the audience can relate with. And none of these characters have that. They're all very one-dimensional. And I'll get into that right now. So, the first person here is obviously Black Adam, our titular character. It's very, very obvious when you see this movie that this story and this character are written by people who don't really know who Black Adam is, which is weird. So I am not like one of those people who goes like, all our superhero movies must follow their comic book counterparts to the T. Nothing can be changed. I'm not one of those people. If you can bring something original and nice to the table, I'm all for it, but this is not original or nice in any way. And I think the biggest problem here stems from the fact that nowadays, Hollywood, especially with superhero movies, has this need to give all their villains a redemption arc. Okay, you can't even see it's with superhero movies, it's just been happening a lot. Like if you see, right, the movie, what's the Angelina Jolie movie? Maleficent, where she got a redemption arc. Cruella, which is set in an alternate universe, but she kind of got a redemption arc. Thanos in Avengers, right? He had this sympathetic backstory that made you root for him as a villain. Like, you at least not just root for him, but at least sympathize with him and all the things that he's doing. Even in Eternals, Icarus is supposed to be the big bad, but like he's all emotional and has all these human conflicts. And there's kind of thing with most of these movies coming around. Even with Joker, they kind of made the unhinged clown guy into this guy who just wants to free his people. I haven't seen this movie. I just know what I've heard. Probably wrong. But yeah, there's this need to kind of make all villains sympathetic, which kind of doesn't work. Because when all the villains are sympathetic, they all end up having a very similar backstory. Most of these backstories go like, oh, I was a good person until I was betrayed or my family was killed, or like it's always one of those two things, right? And when all of the villains are villains because of this, it's like, okay, why can't a villain just be a villain because they're fucking evil? What's wrong with that? I would like a villain that's fucking evil. I would still root for that villain because I just like villains. But that's just me, But yeah, I don't know why, and that's what they did to Black Adam. He was completely turned into this guy who's not a villain, but he's an anti-hero because he lost his family, right? He's just a father who is mourning the loss of his son because he feels that his son died because of him. He has survivor's guilt. So those are the issues that he's going through. And the reason why that doesn't work with this character is because they never really dwell into that. And even in the scenes where they do, the acting and the dialogue, it's pretty lackluster. Even the scene is just like, it doesn't really resonate with you emotionally. And that's an issue. And another issue is just the acting altogether. I feel like The Rock can only play certain types of characters, and Black Adam is just not one of them. Hawkman. This poor guy. You deserved so much better. Hawkman in this movie is so one-dimensional. There's just nothing about him that kind of just makes him, stand out. There's nothing about him that gives him a personality, some depth. He's someone who sees the world in black and white. And that's just the way he keeps going throughout the whole movie. He doesn't listen to anybody. He's kind of arrogant. And his whole pissing match with Black Adam that goes on is just, generally speaking, it's annoying. And he's also in this movie, as I said before, to get his ass kicked. There is not a single scene in this movie when he's going up against Black Adam and he's winning. He is just getting his ass whooped left and right. And it's sad to watch at some points. They try to bring this relationship between him and Dr. Fate, where they're close friends. But again, since this is their introduction into the DC universe, it just kind of does, at least the, live action universe, it doesn't hit properly. Yeah, and this character just doesn't work. I feel really bad for him because he kind of just to make Black Adam look good, they make Hawkman look bad. Then we have Dr. Fate. Personally speaking, I love the casting for Dr. Fate. I think this actor was like the perfect choice for him, but I hate the fact that they killed him off in this movie. Dr. Fate in the comics, and he's like this really strong character. Dr. Fate, actually, Dr. Fate is the helmet. It's not just the person, it's the helmet. The helmet has its own personality, and it's very dominating and very strong, and they don't show that in this movie at all. It just kind of like the helmet doesn't play a role at all. Because the thing is, the person donning the helmet may die and pass on, but the helmet remains, right? It's always looking for a new owner to wear it and to, do their duty to stop the dark forces, which is something I feel like this movie completely ignored, which is sad because Dr. Fate, in my opinion, is a pretty interesting character. And he makes very stupid decisions in this movie. So he has a vision, right? He sees that Hawkman is going to die if he fights Sabak. So his main aim is to stop Hawkman from fighting Sabak and then prevent that future. But in order to do so, he could have just simply put down that shield and summon Black Adam, right? But instead, he puts down that shield and then goes to fight alone and dies. Which I was like, why? There was no need to do that. And another thing is that if he already knew this was going to happen, because it's not like it's not like he had that vision when they were going to the fight. He knew from some time. It was very obvious. So one way they could have just gone about it was just, tell Hawkman that they need Black Adam and just tell him right then and there why they need Black Adam. Like knowing that Black Adam is needed and then watching him get shipped off, I think that was such a stupid move on his part. And this was something you expect from Dr. Fate of all people. But yeah, the movie just killed him off. It was like, okay, I guess. Thanks for this perfect cast. And then just kill him, I guess. Who cares? Cyclone. Okay, so much like Black Adam, I don't know anything about this character, right? Her appearance in this movie was her introduction to me. And yeah, after watching the movie, there's really not anything I know about this character except that she's super smart. And then in one throwaway line, they gave her backstory where she said that she was experimented upon by scientists. And apparently her powers stem from nanotechnology, which at this point is a staple in every superhero movie. Nanotechnology just solves everything, apparently. So yeah, there's literally nothing that I know about this character. It's pretty sad. She's very underutilized. She has no moments. She's not given any depth or anything. All of her scenes are with Atom Smasher, and it's very obvious from the moment the two of them meet that they're supposed to have this romantic thing going on. It's like that rule of movie making that if two people of the opposite sex are in the same room together and their eyes meet, they will fall in love. Correction, if two conventionally attractive people of the opposite sex are in the same room and their eyes meet, they will fall in love. And that's basically kind of like what they went for. And yeah, it just didn't work. I don't have much to say for her character except for the fact that they just didn't use her at all. Atom Smasher. Yeah, this guy, I don't know much about him from the comics. So it was strange when I saw him on screen because all his scenes kind of just reminded me of Tom Holland or just Ant-Man. Not because of the powers, but because of the way he behaved. So there's a scene in the movie when they fight Black Adam for the first time. So they're all in a ship, right? And since he can't fly or anything, he had to go to the area of the fight on foot, and he gets lost. And that scene was just like, that's very Tom Holland Spider-Man. Then there's a scene where he gets kind of knocked out by Black Adam and he's like in his giant form. And when he wakes up, he destroys the statue of the hero of the Kandak by mistake. And then he's like, oh my god, was this expensive? And I was like, oh my god. there are a lot of scenes in this movie that they are meant to be comedic, but they just don't hit. Like there's a scene right in the beginning where the historian and Black Adam meet for the first time. Like they have so she's in the car with her brother, right? And the car isn't starting. And Black Adam walks up to the car, stands next to the passenger door, and her brother and her genius idea is to slowly pull up the window. The window is creaking while going up. Black Adam is staring at her and she's refusing to meet his eye. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna hide you. It's like something out of a sitcom, and it just doesn't work, especially after he's just slaughtered a bunch of people. I don't know, the comedy in this movie is weird as hell. So yeah, Atom Smasher doesn't work. He has more presence than Cyclone though, so I'll give him that. He does have some few one-liners here and there. Even has a moment with Black Adam where he's like, oh, are we friends now? And Black Adam's like, don't push it. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I just don't like this movie. Oh god, Sabak. Yeah, this generic ass looking guy who can be put into any fucking video game. This is the main antagonist of the movie. Doesn't have a personality, doesn't have anything compelling about him, doesn't have a motive that makes you go like, oh my god, I want to root for you. I guess he is that evil be evil villain. But god, he's written so badly. And he's in this movie, like, he comes in with the power of 6 demons and gets like defeated in like 10 minutes. Like, oh wow. Maybe you should have tried with the power of 7 demons. I don't know, maybe that might have worked. Now let's start with comics versus movies. So like I said previously, there's not a lot that I know about Black Adam because I haven't read the comics. So I did do some research to find out exactly what his first origin was, how he came to be, and if there was some correlation between what happened in the movie and what his storyline is in the comics. Yeah, this is where this is why I'm saying that this movie was written by people who don't understand Black Adam's character. Now, Black Adam is initially a Shazam villain, if you guys don't know that. He is a Shazam villain. He's not that well known like Joker. He is not. But his first introduction into the comics is very simple. You see that twink over there? Yeah, that's Black Adam. So his first introduction is very simple. Black Adam used to be a hero of Shazam, right? Before Billy Batson. And he was just a guy, but then he got these powers. He saw all the things he could do with these powers, became greedy, and got corrupted. So the wizard who can apparently give the power but can't take it back, had no choice but to banish him to a distant star. And this is such a funny thing that I find, the wizard's like, hey, I can give you all these amazing powers, but I have no failsafe where if you turn evil, I can take the powers back. So please, can you promise me that you'll be good? You'll be good? Okay, thank you. I'm like, oh my god, I don't think that's a good idea, but okay. So yeah, he gets sent off to a distant star, but he still has his powers. So he starts making his way back to Earth. It takes him 5,000 years to come back, and in that time, Billy Batson is already Shazam. And as you can see, there are other people with the powers of Shazam as well. But he is also the one who is more experienced, and they do have very, very hard time defeating him. He's supposed to be like that powerful. Obviously on the same level as Billy and the others. I think he does die in the comics, and then his backstory is kind of rebooted, and he's brought back from the dead. Now, when his backstory is rebooted, in this new one, he is actually the son of an Egyptian emperor. He is a prince. He's not some slave looking for Etonium. No. He's a prince. And the wizard gives him the powers, and he doesn't become greedy. Instead, he is actually corrupted by the wizard's daughter. Right? She seduces him and corrupts him, and he turns evil because of that. You see that lady over there kind of putting the wizard in a pit to cook him. I don't know what's happening in that picture. But yeah, she is supposed to be his daughter, I think. So yeah, she ends up corrupting him by seducing him. So that's his second backstory. So now, again, he gets defeated and everything. There's also this part in the comics where they kind of give him a redemption arc, where there's this part where apparently the personality of Adam, the human, and Black Adam, the villain, it kind of splits. So there are 2 of them running around. So Adam the human is getting blamed for murders that he did not commit. But when they do fingerprint analysis on them, they realize that, oh, he's telling the truth. And then it turns out that there are 2 Adams walking around. One is the evil, corrupted Adam, and one is the good Adam, who's now gone back to the way he used to be before he was corrupted. And anyways, they defeat the evil Adam, and then Black Adam kind of integrates himself into the Justice Association, actually makes friends with everybody. But there is also a point where he starts kind of becoming disillusioned by the way the association works, because he doesn't like their merciful behavior. He thinks that evil people should be killed. So he ends up kind of leaving the association, and he also takes a bunch of heroes with him who believe in his ideology. And that's where he becomes an anti-hero. And then we come to Kandak. So Kandak is a place from the comics, and he is considered the hero of Kandak, but not in the same way as in the movie, because he kind of just goes to this place of Kandak and goes, okay, this is my place. Nobody fucks with this place. If you fuck with this place, you fuck with me. That sort of a thing over there. So he becomes the hero of Kandak and gets rid of Indagang and falls in love with this person who he calls Isis. They even get married, and there's actually at that marriage, Billy Batson, Shazam, is also there. So you can see that, you know, the relationship between them does improve. So anyways, he becomes the hero of Kanda, gets married, is happy, but then his wife Isis gets killed. And when she gets killed, she tells him that maybe your way was right. And he goes back to being an anti-hero again. So yeah, that's like the stark difference between the comics and the movie. And in the comics, they just kind of went for a very convoluted backstory that takes this whole thing with Kandak and losing his wife, but does it in a very different way to, it just kind of just doesn't work, in my opinion, at least. Now, let's come to my favorite part. How I would write Black Adam, because at this point, this movie is so bad that even a 5-year-old could write it better than what they did. Okay, that's a bit mean, but they kind of deserve it. Anyways, step 1. I would not introduce Black Adam in a standalone movie. Instead, him being in a standalone movie doesn't work, I think. I would scrap that whole, Kandak part, the whole evil tyrant with his magical crown, which doesn't exist in the comics, by the way. This was created just for the movies. So that evil tyrant with his magical crown, scrape it off. Let's go back to his origins from the comics. As silly as they may be, I feel like that would work better for him. So step 2 for that would be put him in Shazam 2. If I recall correctly, Black Adam was mentioned in Shazam 1 as the hero who kind of destroyed the council, right? So it would be so much more obvious for him to be in Shazam 2, right? So bring him in Shazam 2. I would start the scene not with narration. No, because I trust my audience to figure shit out on their own. So I would instead start the movie with the scene of the wizard fighting Black Adam and kind of, just banishing him to a distant star, right? I think that would work so much better. And yeah, he gets banished to a distant star. Obviously, he starts his journey back, and then we cut to Billy Batson and his family. So we can still have that, moment from Shazam 2, the conflicts from that, where he's trying to let go of he's trying to hold on to his family because he doesn't want to be abandoned again, right? So we can have that, right? We can have him trying to hold on to his family, try to hold on to this place that he's found for himself. And everything is going pretty normally until his life gets disrupted when this guy who has powers like his arrives. And Billy obviously fights him and gets defeated horribly. Because I think that Black Adam, he has 5,000 years of experience with these powers, so I would think that he is more powerful. And I would also make his character a bit more unhinged, because he has been traveling in outer space for 5,000 years. So I would make his character like a bit more unhinged, right? So he comes back, beats up Billy. Billy barely escapes, and he is confused as to what to do. Obviously, Black Adam is trying, and meanwhile, instead of Black Adam just integrating into society, let him be surprised by, let him look at a car and go like, bitch, what the fuck? iPhones, no, he doesn't know how to work all of that, and let him be pissed at people, right? Maybe somebody bumps into him, and how people are, they'll bump into you and then start screaming at you. Body that man, go ahead, kick his ass. So just to instill this fear of Black Adam into the people as well. So obviously Black Adam is looking for Billy Batson, the new Shazam, and he wants to beat him up and show the wizard that I was the one who was deserving. And in the end, we could have Billy team up with his family and let them use their modern wits and modern technology in order to defeat Black Adam, because I don't see them defeating him with the power of friendship. Unfortunately, as much as we love the power of friendship, it doesn't work all the time. So let him so and they can't just defeat him with raw power, because this is a man who's had these power for 5,000 years and they've just started. They've barely scratched the surface. So instead, let them use their wits and modern technology and education in order to defeat Black Adam and banish him. So now what would be the next step? I'll tell you. Then in the next movie, we can bring in the whole plotline from the comic where there are two Black Adams running around. It's a bit silly. It's a bit, it kind of makes you go like, bitch, what? Really? You're gonna do that? But it's also kind of unique because it hasn't been done in a movie, like a superhero movie at least till now. So this could also be Black Adam's redemption arc, because, Adam, the one who wasn't corrupted, is kind of looking back at all the horrible crimes he committed, and he's regretful, he's remorseful, he's drowning in guilt. And this is the moment where you give him that redemption arc and also establish a friendship between him and Hawkman. Hawkman becomes his friend, he helps him through things, and in the end, when they defeat the evil Black Adam, Hawkman invites him into the Justice Association. And like the next movie, which you could have a Black Adam movie, like a movie just centered around him, that could be the movie where you show how he's being disillusioned by the work of the Justice Association, the fact that they even end up saving these evil, horrible people who are committing the worst crimes. Because let's say you save a mercenary today, right? You don't kill him. You say that no, we'll take him to court. We'll let the justice of the country decide, right? He'll go on trial. The judge and jury will decide then what happens to him next. But it doesn't work because that guy, his friends end up. You could have the movie center in Kandak. I think that would be better. So have the movie center in Kandak, right? So that would also make sense with him becoming the hero of Kandak later on. So maybe Intergang breaks out that member and then they end up killing a family or something, and Black Adam is devastated because he's like, we are supposed to protect the innocent people, but instead of protecting them, we are endangering them by letting these criminals walk free. And that could be the breaking point between him and Hawkman, because they are such close friends, but now they're at this point where their ideals just do not match anymore. And then we can have obviously them falling apart. Black Adam leaves the Justice Association. He goes and he just destroys Intergang and declares that Kandak belongs to him. So if anybody messes with Kandak, they mess with him. And that could be like him kind of just pulling away from the Justice Association. And if you want to give like a romantic thing with Isis, you could add her in too, and she's on his side, sort of a thing. But yeah, that would be your standalone Black Adam movie. Him finally stepping in as an anti-hero. So he went from villain to hero to anti-hero now, right? So you can see like this progression of his character. So I would think that would be personally such a better way to go about this character, because I feel like not every comic book hero needs to be introduced in a standalone movie. They can be in an ensemble, but it just needs to be done right, in my opinion. And finally, there's one more step, by the way. There's one more step. The last and final step, which is very, very important, because if we don't do this step, the whole plan falls apart. And this last step is, oops, no more Rock. Yeah, I forgot to skip the slides. This is my first time doing this. Please bear with me. But yes, the last and final step is no more Rock. Look, Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Rock, he might be an amazing person. I don't know him personally. We've never met. He seems like a good guy, but he's not Black Adam. He can't act. I feel like he can only do particular roles. Unlike John Cena and Dave Bautista, The Rock can only do certain like particular character type. He doesn't have the depth for a character like Black Adam, right? And the biggest issue I think with Black Adam is his involvement in the project. From what I've seen, he had a lot of creative control as to how the story would go and how Black Adam would be portrayed, which brought so many fundamental issues. Because instead of Black Adam being introduced in a Shazam movie as he should have, he got a standalone movie because The Rock didn't want that. For some reason, he wants Black Adam to go head to head with Superman, which again, why? You are a Shazam villain. Why should Black Adam go head to head with Superman? So his whole involvement with everything to, center the universe around his character just doesn't work. It brought a lot of issues, and they should not have given him so much creative control. I don't know why they did it, but I know more Rock. No. Not for my Black Adam. No. We'll pick a better actor. I'm sorry, Rock. You're amazing. I think. I don't know you, but this is not personal. But yeah, that's how I would write my Black Adam movie. Just plain, simple, fun. The end. Yay! Thank you so much for sticking around for this video. This is my first time doing something like this, so I hope this was enjoyable for you guys. Whatever your opinions are, whether you agree, disagree, leave it in the comments. Just be nice about it. Don't be mean, please. If you're mean, I'll most likely not respond. I'll just cry instead. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like this character could have had a lot of potential. The project was just given to the wrong people, and hopefully someday we'll see Black Adam in live action again. But until then, this is it, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be sure to make more videos like this in the future. Bye!